Performance Motorsports Network, powered by the staff at Race Chaser Online. Your motorsports, your way, every day. And now, here's your host.
Got to start over.
Okay.
Dang it. Work. Hold on.
It's time for the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network, powered by the staff at Race Chaser Online. Your motorsports, your way, every day. And now, here's your host, Tom Baker.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Stock Car Show, presented by our good friends at HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety. You can find them on the web at HMS Motorsport.com, and you can find us right here in the Race Chaser studio in Mooresville, North Carolina. I am Tom Baker, along with Jacob Seelman from
Hello.
Speed Sport, and behind the glass we have the venerable Randy Miller doing audio production and co-hosting, and Chris Murdoch doing video production.
Webster's word of the day, venerable.
Venerable. Yes, go look it up. It is the word of the day.
I don't need to look it up.
I would
know
say
what
it's a
it
drinking
means.
phrase, but it's the only time we're going to use it tonight, so it won't really pay because nobody will get drunk. So
That's unfortunate.
yeah, it's a complete waste to have a drinking phrase if you're not going to, So as we get started here tonight, I wanted, we always start with news of the day. Unfortunately, today we have some bad news out of the Junior Motorsports camp. Junior's mom, Junior and Kelly's mom, passed away today, and boy, what a sad day for not only them, but for really everybody connected with Junior Motorsports. Brenda Jackson passing away after a battle with cancer. She had been 15 years working at Junior and being a part of that. It's times like this when you really realize that racing is a family sport, and when somebody's hurting, when somebody in the racing community is hurting, we're all hurting, and that that really rings true this evening as we get started with our show. We really want to express not only our condolences, but send our prayers out to Dale Jr. and Kelly and everybody in the family and everybody at Junior Motorsports as well, because there's just no words really that you can find that ever suffice in a situation like this.
I can find a couple, and I'll start with cancer sucks.
Yeah, well, that's the hashtag I always use.
Yeah. And this whole situation, just, you hate to lose anybody in the racing community, but when you look at what Miss Brenda, as they always called her over at JRM, gave not just to that team, but to the community at large, it's a tough day.
It is.
And you're right.
Yep.
She had been with the company since '04. I mean, almost back to the earliest vestiges of the team when it was still the Busch Series. Just getting started, of course, one of the daughters of NASCAR fabricator Robert G. Of course, anyone who knows the history and some of the historical aspects of the early days of NASCAR know that name.
Yeah. Amazing car builder.
Yes. Yeah, Robert was.
Yep.
And Brenda certainly, left her mark. I can, to this day think of some of the stories that Junior would tell in the media center regarding the texts back and forth with his mom, even when she wasn't at the racetrack. One after the second 500 that he won in 2014, where she texted him afterwards and said, "I knew you were going to do that."
Yeah, it's just
if there was one thing she made very clear for years, it was that how proud she was of Dale Jr. and of Kelly for not just what they built Junior Motorsports into, but what they did and gave back to the sport. So she was 65, and she will be sorely missed, I know, in the garage area and the Mooresville community. Our prayers certainly with the Earnhardt family, with Dale Jr., with Kelly, and everybody involved in the Junior Motorsports team. Like I said, just a tough day.
Yeah, very tough day.
We move forward. I want to take a moment to note, I was glancing at our chat just a moment ago, and while we're in the process of sending prayers out, I feel it prudent to offer some well wishes to a driver that I'm going to be seeing later in the weekend who just popped into our chat, Christian Eckes, who is, after a bout with food poisoning, going to get his ARCA Racing Series, or ARCA Menards Series, there's $1 in the jar, championship charge back
Only
on track.
Menards.
Well, yeah. I don't want to get on John Menard's bad side, okay?
Well, I mean, you don't mind, you'll correct yourself for ARCA Menards, but whenever you say Phoenix instead of ISM, you don't worry about it. What's with that?
Because
Isn't that like some form of...
Some habits really do die hard. Just saying.
That's true.
With tracks, it just is what it is. Even when Charlotte was Lowe's, I still called it Charlotte. So...
Well, at any rate,
we
can certainly agree.
Getting back to the point, I'm looking forward to seeing Christian back in the car Friday for Talladega. And I mean, shoot, when you look at the math, he's only, even after giving up the points lead, he's only 80 points back of Travis Braden. This fight is far from over.
Oh,
and quite
it's
frankly,
too early in the season.
Quite frankly, I think it would make a hell of a story to see him come back after missing a race and still take it all if he has the opportunity to do so.
Oh, I think he does, and I believe that he'll make a fight out of it before the end of the season. I mean, Christian is definitely a talented racer, and he's proven himself not only in the ARCA Series but also in the Truck Series as well. I see no reason why he shouldn't come back and contend for the championship. He's definitely got the equipment to do it, so... excited to see what's still ahead for Christian Eckes, and we're glad he joined us in the chat, and certainly thinking about him as he gets back into the car. That's not fun.
Oh, by the way, Venturini Motorsports has kind of sort of won every race so far this season.
Well, yeah, exactly. So that's why you don't worry too much, but happy to see that he's better for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Yep. No doubt about that. Okay, we should point out before we go any further, we do have two guests coming up tonight.
Yes,
both from the My Computer Career Easter Bunny 150 pass race at Hickory Motor Speedway this past weekend. Man, looking forward to talking to both of them too. We've got Derek Griffith, one of the New England Pro Stock / Super Late Model, depending on what part of the country you're in, racers, and also Trey Jarrell, who made his return to action with Reedy Racing over the weekend and ran from 30th to 8th in that race. Yeah, that certainly was a hard charger for sure. Even if he didn't get the award, it was definitely worth it.
I know I'm 98% sure he did pass the most cars. So.
Yeah, well, and I watched him through a lot of that race, and Trey definitely, it's funny because we used to call him the Smiling Assassin when he was in the Legends cars. And, I saw a little bit of that at times during that race, especially the back half of it the other night. So looking forward to talking with both young drivers as we get further along in the show. But you and I... Well, I was there. You watched the event, I'm guessing, because we didn't see you there Saturday night. But
correct. I was watching the video stream because after back-to-back trips to and from
day trip to
Columbus, for a race that got rained out, I decided to cut my loss, especially after seeing it rain off and on all day Saturday. I cut my losses and watched from home because I wasn't in the mood to stay there till 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
But it was a hell of a race.
It definitely was. I mean, honestly, I thought this was, to me, this was a classic.
In every sense
sense of the word, because it really, I mean, when you have two guys like Bubba Pollard and Preston Peltier, who are considered among the very, very best at what they do in that division anywhere in the country. And you've got Peltier, who had won, I think, 5 of those bunny races going into Saturday. Indeed. And Bubba, who's won about everything there is to win this year.
Everything but the bunny.
Everything but the bunny. You quickly find yourself in a situation where you're hoping for that clash of the Titans, but also hoping that it's actually a clash of the Titans and not a situation where one or the other of them has a problem and the other one runs off and hides. And boy, let me tell you, we got every bit of that clash of the Titans in every sense of the word, right up until, those two ran side by side and were swapping the lead twice a lap. Asphalt slide jobs pretty much on each other. Until Preston Peltier turned Bubba Pollard, and
Bubba Pollard then expressed his displeasure with Preston Peltier.
Yeah, he told him he was number one, and then later on he got him back coming through the field in traffic. But that basically took both of them out of contention for the win. But I'll tell you what, while that was going on, that race, that sort of battle between the two of them in traffic, open track, whatever, it was amazing. And you had drivers like Tate Fogelman and Mike Hopkins and other drivers behind them who were battling in their own right for the rest of the top 5. There was racing all over the track all night long. And actually, I would argue that I think the fact that we got so much rain and there was really no elongated practice, the track was green, I think probably helped in the end because everybody went out in the green racetrack and some guys hit it perfectly and others not quite so much. So you had some pit stops during the race trying to dial in the cars. I just thought it was a great race all the way through.
It was, absolutely.
With a lot of comers and goers, and, really, really enjoyed that one. So, I'm happy that Pass stuck it out and waited for the window and then went and ran and got the race in. They did a really great job. We'll talk more about that race, and we've got NASCAR conversation coming up as well, and, of course, our guests soon to be heard as we continue with the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders of motorsport safety, right after this.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Hi, this is Denny Hamlin. I want to share with you today a little known but widely pervasive neurological disorder called dyspraxia. It's estimated that dyspraxia affects between 4 and 10% of the general population, and the majority of those affected are male. The condition primarily affects motor skills, but also can affect memory, judgment, and executive function. It's sometimes referred as the hidden disability because it's not immediately obvious to others that the person affected has special needs. My niece Sarah has dyspraxia. and with the proper support in place, she is very successful in school and other activities. Sarah was lucky because she was diagnosed early. Many children and adults go years without knowing. Let's raise awareness for this disability that affects 1 in 11 people. I encourage you to learn more, get involved, and support the Dyspraxia Foundation USA. Thank you.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Hi, I'm Jesse Love, and you're listening to Race Chaser Radio. Now back to the show.
Oh, Randy. So you really want to remind me again that I didn't get to see a race on Friday night? Really?
Actually, that was not my intention, but now that you mention it, that's exactly what I did.
Ironically enough, however, Jesse Love not only got to see a race, he got to run one.
Yes, he did at Placerville on
Saturday
night and came within a couple tenths of a top 10 finish. Ran 11th at Placerville in the 360s. Did a bang up job for not being able to make his
He had to go halfway across the country to do it.
Yeah,
but he did it.
Yeah,
and
he loves those wing cars.
He'll get 3 more shots at his KKM Midget debut this weekend, by the way, with the Power Eye Lucas Oil National Midget League, going to run Little Belleville, Belle Claire Speedway in Illinois on Friday night, then go to Pevely, Missouri on Saturday, and finish up at Jacksonville on Sunday.
Should be fun for the youngster who is 14 years old. It'll be interesting to see how all of that works out for him. As we continue with our program, you were just reading through an article that it's kind of fun once in a while just to get a little bit off topic and discuss something that social media has been discussing off and on since the first part of it happened, which is that Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I just taken aback by the fact that you say that as if I never get off topic.
Well, I also get off topic once in a while, but can we just continue with the show?
Yes.
Sorry. So we continue getting off topic and talk about something that actually really isn't off topic. It was a big topic on social media. Tiger Woods went out and won the Masters again, which I actually thought was awesome. I'm a huge Tiger fan and have been for a long time. The sports world and most of the mainstream media called it the greatest sports comeback in history. Some of us in racing, I will say several of us in the racing world, opined that maybe it wasn't. Maybe Niki Lauda, maybe his comeback was the greatest comeback. I mean, after all, it inspired a movie.
It did. There's about 15 names. Do you want me to go down the list?
Well, let me get to that. So Niki Lauda and a few other drivers were mentioned over the course of the last several days on social media, and then just here today, as we were getting started with the show, an article by Robin Miller pops up, who opines that not only was Tiger Woods' comeback not the greatest comeback in sports history, it wasn't even close. So now we have Robin Miller listing a number of other comebacks that he believes were bigger, I'm assuming, right, Jacob, than Tiger Woods' comeback. So let's pick the first one. What's the first one on his list?
Well, as he referenced right off the top, these are not in any particular order. But the first one, as you referenced right off the gun, was Niki Lauda, who literally went from last rights to nearly winning a Formula One championship in the same season. Burns to the head and face, critical condition, to the point that they summoned a priest to deliver the last rites. But this is where Lauda got the nickname the Rat. As Robin said, he just didn't die.
Right.
And missed 2 races, came back for the Italian Grand Prix, finished 4th without his left ear. That was gone. The skin on his head was still so raw. His whole driver's suit was soaked in blood. But he kept the championship, mathematical contention all the way down to the last race of the year in Japan, qualified 3rd, but because of some of the other injuries to his tear ducts in the crash earlier in the year, he had to pull off after 2 laps in a rainstorm because he couldn't blink. So he couldn't keep the water out of his eyes.
Wow.
James Hunt won the championship that year, but you ask anybody to this day who the champion is and should have been.
Well, clearly that's a situation of,
yes.
Okay, James Hunt got the most points, but...
Correct. So, you go down the list. Jim Hurtubise, who was...
I forgot all about that, actually.
Herc burned almost 50% of his body. That was where, when they did the surgery to try and repair his fingers, Herc asked them to basically make his hands claws so he could still grip the steering wheel. And he came back and finished 4th at Phoenix in his first IndyCar race back.
Jim was one of the last drivers. It may have been the last driver to actually try to qualify a front-engine car at Indy.
I think he was the last one.
Yep. Little-known fact.
Yeah. Miller. There's no way Miller's listening to this right now, but if he were, he'd be probably yelling at the screen or yelling at his smartphone if we were wrong. Mel Kenyon for another one.
Yep.
And I've talked to Mel about his comeback a couple of times. When I've seen him in Fort Wayne, lost all the fingers on his left hand, but his brother Don designed a glove to help him come back. He came back the next May and finished 5th at the 500 and won 4 more USAC midget titles with no fingers on his left hand. I mean, the Bettenhausen brothers, my God, I mean,
that whole family.
That whole family was a tragedy in racing as much as they were a story. I mean, Gary won a 100-lap feature at Fort Wayne with one arm, qualified for the Indy 500 with one arm. Merle lost his right arm, still came back and won a pair of USAC midget features with one arm. More recently, Hinchcliffe comes to mind as one.
Yep.
Who went from basically dead, should have probably been dead, but came back the next May and won the pole for the 500. Lord only knows how many times A.J. Foyt cheated death over the years.
Yeah, well, right up to recent times with bees on the farm. I mean, that's but yeah, I mean, who else we got?
Rick Mears.
Rick Mears
was another one.
Yep, Doug Wolfgang.
And Zanardi, of course.
Yeah, Zanardi, and actually, one comes to mind for me at Oswego, Jim Cheney. In 1977 was badly burned in a super modified fire, and his hands took the brunt of that. And again, it was when he came back in 1978 at Thompson, his hands basically, once he gripped the wheel, he couldn't ungrip it. I mean, he won the race, and in Victory Lane, they literally had to pry his hands off the steering wheel because he couldn't.
Right.
And although Jim, after that, his career kind of took a bit of a downturn, he still had some strong runs. And, same kind of thing. I guess when you look at all of that, it's such a subjective argument.
It is.
I mean,
You're
greatest comeback in the history of sports. I'm sure there's 1,000 comebacks in different sports that we aren't even thinking of right now. And so for me, it's kind of like, who really cares what the greatest was?
They're all great.
They're all great in their own way, and they all, I think, not only Tiger, but all of those drivers we just talked about.
And there are others.
Yeah, there are many others. I mean, I can definitely see Robin Miller's point in writing the article, but at the same time, again, I mean, we have to understand that most of the mainstream media, especially today's mainstream media and mainstream sports media, They have no idea who three-quarters of those drivers were because none of them go back to that part of IndyCar and F1 history where most of that happened.
Right. Well, I would say the only one that has the potential to transcend motorsports in a somewhat similar way that Tiger transcends golf is probably Foyt.
Well, maybe, but again, I think if you just look at the accomplishment itself, Tiger went through a couple of surgeries and has been kind of down for a while. So it's certainly a great comeback, and he deserves every bit of praise that he gets. And people who sort of penalize him for all the off-the-course stuff that happened need to just look in their own mirror because we're all sinners. So it's like, look, if the guy's learned and he's doing what he should be now, I'm totally good with that. And I love seeing him win that. I don't care if it's the greatest or not. Every one of those drivers we just talked about, Tiger and anyone who has the persistence to overcome major challenges, not only in sport but in life itself, deserves respect. And
Absolutely.
so, whoever you consider the greatest or whichever comeback, if you're in that conversation, that's all that really matters as far as I'm concerned.
You know what I think we need to talk about here in the next couple minutes?
Well,
I know we have a break coming up.
Yes, we do, but we've got a minute or two.
Talladega.
We can start that if you'd like. Talladega, sure.
I would love
Why
to
not?
start that.
Stephen Evans is in our chat. I'm sure he's excited about Talladega coming up. I know something else he's excited about. Yeah, he's, we got Land of Legends.
There's that, too.
Yeah, Stephen is now, and I am really happy for Steve being a part of that announcing team this year at Canandaigua, formerly Canandaigua Speedway up north, because that is a huge, huge deal for him, and I know he's excited about it, so definitely wishing him all the success and everyone at Land of Legends as they get started with their
This
season.
weekend was supposed to be their opening night.
Yeah, but it
Mother Nature. Mother Nature wasn't really a fan of. Let me rephrase that. Mother Nature wasn't a fan of any racing anywhere from about the Mississippi east.
Yeah, I mean Hickory luckily got theirs, and Bowman Gray got rained out too, or I would have been happy to talk about Bowman's opener on this program. So we'll have to do that. On a future show. And with that, we're going to step aside. Then we'll talk Talladega in our next segment for a bit before we welcome our two guests, or our first guest anyway, in the 45 segment. So we'll be back with more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety, right after this.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette, it's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes, on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit coopercorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing: making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at HMSMotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
Everyone knows Strutmasters is the suspension experts for luxury vehicles, and now we offer motorcycle products. Introducing Easy Rider, complete motorcycle air suspension, brought to you by Strutmasters.com. You can raise and lower your bike with the flip of a switch. Take those long rides with the ultimate comfort of Easy Rider air shocks. They're backed by Strutmasters, and you won't believe the low price. Check out Easy Rider motorcycle air suspension at Strutmasters.com.
Hey, I'm Brennan Poole, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Well, Brennan races for On Point.
He does, and that's
Motorsports.
also a reminder that I miss the trucks.
Well, they'll be back soon.
Yeah, at Dover,
They're
but
gone for good. They'll just be
no,
back
they're not. But
for
they've
another
been
week.
they've been gone for a month though, and that's way too long.
Meanwhile, if you're a racer and you qualify to be eligible for the ARCA series,
You do get to race this week.
yeah, On Point has an ARCA car available.
They do?
Yeah, they do.
When did that happen?
They had a driver who had
No,
to...
wait. No, not On Point. Vizion.
Oh, sorry, Vizion. Yes, my bad. It was Vizion. You're right. It isn't On Point. Yeah, Vizion has an ARCA car available if you'd like to hop into it. So just go to Vizion Motorsports page.
You totally psyched me out for a minute. I was like, when
right.
the
It's
heck
Vizion.
did On
He was
Point
almost
get
mad
out?
that you had breaking news and he didn't.
I know, right?
I could have breaking news. I could have done the sounder. And
I played that reentry because I was hoping we would get to talk about Brennan being in a modified. It hit Bowman Gray, but of course it rained.
Of
and he
course
didn't
it
get to,
rained.
so.
well, we could talk about him being in one,
He
but
practiced
he
for a
didn't.
little bit,
He
for like
wasn't
10
because
minutes.
there was no race.
Who's,
Yeah,
whose modified did he practice, Randy?
I would have to double check.
yeah, I can't remember.
Please
whose-
do.
whose
I think
car that was,
I
but-
think On Point actually filled in an entry for him to go to Bowman Gray and race. But I'll
No
have to double
kidding.
check.
Yeah, I think that might be right.
You do that
actually.
while we
Yeah.
talk
I will
about.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Randy
I
will
will
look
work
that
on
up.
that right now.
Yeah, Randy's going to work on that. While in the meantime, we can talk about the fact there's 3 races at
Let's
Talladega
talk
this
about,
weekend.
Let's talk about Talladega for a little
Yes.
bit because Talladega is fun to talk about any time of the day. What's interesting to me is we're a little different this weekend because we have no restrictor plate
In the Cup Series.
in the Cup Series. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
We introduce
the tapered
the
spacer.
new tapered spacer part of the package, which, of course, has not been run yet on a super speedway because of Daytona,
Correct.
they still ran the plates. So this is sort of the final little piece of the 2019 package for the Cup Series that we haven't seen yet.
Yep. And you know what a lot of people think we're going to see?
What?
The return of the tandem. Yes.
2-car tandem? I hope not. Are you kidding me? If that's the case, somebody needs to put Trevor Bayne in a Cup car fast because that boy, 2-car tandem's better than anybody else in the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how he won the Daytona 500 in 2011, was that he learned how to 2-car tandem better than anybody
He
else.
didn't have any.
quicker than
Well,
anybody
yeah,
else.
because he didn't have any bad habits to
Yeah,
unlearn.
exactly.
But yes, that seems to be the rumor
I hope
going
that's not the
around
case.
is that
I hated that.
even some of the drivers have said that they feel like it's there's a possibility the tandem draft could return.
See, if that's what we're going to see from Talladega and Daytona going forward, then, as far as I'm concerned, that's junk, and you need to just get rid of it and before they ever hit the track and put the restrictor plates back and let's go.
So I'll play devil's advocate because I can. You're not a fan of 88 lead changes in one race?
I'm not a fan of 2-car tandems. Lead changes are fine, but the 2-car tandem, it's like a team race. It's like a team lead change. It isn't just, somebody passes somebody and somebody else passes somebody. It's all about who's better pushing and who's better in front, and now
basically you're mad that the pusher gives up their opportunity to win the race.
Well, I'm not mad, but I just think it makes sort of a different kind of racing out of it. And, yeah, you basically get to a point where whoever's in second on the last lap, they're not going to try to pass the leader unless they're not a teammate. And then the question becomes, can they?
Well, keep in mind, if you get far enough out on the last lap, you can try and pass the guy that you're pushing on the last lap.
I don't know.
Brad Keselowski did it in 2009 and won the race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was never a fan of the two-car deal, and I think it badly disadvantages the teams who don't have two cars or drivers who don't have any respect, who don't, if you've got the major teams are, okay, you push him, I'll push him, and then we'll swap every once in a while.
Right.
And then you got to worry about your temperature going up because somebody's on you, and then somebody turns somebody because they can't push well, and we have a 28-car accident. So what are we really doing
if
here?
you look at the numbers back in the days of the tandems, we really didn't have any big ones.
Well,
but then again, that's because with the tandems were all spaced out far. There was actually space to avoid a car when it wrecked.
But that was a really different type of car too than what we have now. We haven't had the two-car tandem since 2011. That was really the only year that it was big.
That was
maybe into 12.
Yeah, 11 and 12.
The cars have changed a ton since then. So
a little bit. I mean, we went from that 11 and 12 was still Gen 5 going into the first iteration of the Gen 6.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that these are completely different cars. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm hoping that's not what happens. I mean, I would like to see a style of racing on the super speedways that's much more reminiscent of the 70s and early 80s, where you have a situation where a single car can draft up and pass rather than having to rely on a second car, because then we have no idea who's actually the best car or not, because they're all pushing, and I hate cars that push each other anyway, because that's what causes wrecks. Okay, Randy, you've got an answer to the question of who is Brennan Poole driving for at Bowman Gray.
It was an on-point Motorsports entry that was sponsored by Strutmasters.
Fun!
Oh wow!
So
okay,
that's fun.
Interesting.
So you got a 2 for with that re-entry because it was his re-entry
nice.
and Strutmasters before that.
There we go.
I plugged 2 things at once.
Wonderful.
You're welcome.
So Chip Lofton and Strutmasters.com were behind Brennan's modified effort. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll be able to.
I believe he made 15 laps in practice.
Hey, guess what? There's no truck race this weekend.
Oh, that's right. So I guess he can go back.
He could go back if he wanted.
No, guess he can.
Guess it's a question of if he wants to. All right, let's go back to Talladega for a minute and talk about the ARCA race for a second, because the question, the obvious question is, can Venturini Motorsports start off the year 4 for 4?
Sure, of course they can. I mean, that's you got Christian Eckes coming back.
Michael Self.
Michael Self is amazing on super speedways.
Before,
I mean, that's his forte. I don't see why not. I mean, Talladega is a race anybody can win.
Right.
The ARCA series proves that year after year, because there's always a surprise or two that jumps up. Andy Seiss comes to mind immediately. Had a second place finish. One year and really could have won
a year ago at Daytona. Talladega.
Yeah, it was at Talladega. So
Brandon Lynn's in one of the Venturini cars, and we know he's solid in the draft.
There again. I mean, it's interesting with the ARCA series this year for me, because it's basically Venturini dominated. You've always had, for a long time, it was all Venturini, with occasional appearances by teams like Cunningham or Ken Schrader or whatever.
Yeah.
But then last year, we had MDM versus Venturini, and Venturini's driver lineup wasn't as strong, and MDM just destroyed everybody in the series.
Yeah.
And so this year it's gone back to...
Well, even before that, there was a couple of years in there where Venturini was not as strong as they had been in the past. I mean, stop and consider that while we talk about them being race winners through the years, they've not won a championship since Big Bill in
but
'91.
My point is, even last year, now they won last year with, I think, Michael Self and I think even maybe Chandler might have won one.
Yeah,
Did he win one?
Yeah, Chandler won a couple. I believe Christian.
Yeah, So those guys, they did manage to win a few even last year, but they weren't nearly as strong as what they've been. MDM just basically killed everybody. And now this year it's kind of back to Venturini being on top and nobody really having, I don't think, the muscle, not to say that nobody else can win at all, but to say, although they haven't yet, but to say that with MDM's driver lineup, Venturini's driver lineup, and the fact that I don't think there's a lot of other teams that have the resources that Venturini has, other than your Joe Gibbs entry, and then we know GMS Racing with Sam Mayer. And
GMS isn't even a full-time
and
entry.
they aren't even a full-time team. So,
I mean, the Chad Bryant car, which is what used to be the Cunningham team, those two cars are going to be strong as the season goes on.
Well, they're strong on the super speedways too.
No, and it's not just about being strong on the super speedways. Those cars are good on the short tracks too. Joe Graff has just had a lot of bad luck the first couple of races. Just a small point, by the way, this is the first time since 2015 in the ARCA Series that one team has won the first 3 races of the season.
Okay.
And what's interesting about that is when you go back to 2015, it wasn't even a multi-car team like Venturini that won the first 3 races of the year. In fact, that year it was the what was then the small GMS Racing operation with Grant Enfinger that was a one-car team that, that year was what sparked the rise of GMS as an eventual powerhouse. But that's the last time that one team had won the first 3 races of the year. And Grant actually did it 2 years in a row. He did it in 2014 with, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, with the Howard Bixman, the 90 team, and then did it the following year with GMS. So.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, in both ARCA and K&N, you always seem to have one or two just super teams that are basically almost cup teams in those series, competing against other teams that don't have. And so you get these very lopsided results, and that doesn't detract from the drivers or anybody connected with those teams. But to say that, there's just one or two teams that are always miles better than the other. And I think, you're seeing that in K&N this year. You're going to see GMS Racing versus Bill McAnally pretty much. And you've got Venturini here that basically is right now, between the strength of the team and the drivers, they are the best overall team in the series, and for the most part are going to be the team to beat all year long.
Stop and consider that real quick before we go to break. We're talking about Venturini being a powerhouse again now, and there was a time they not that long ago that they went winless in 2015, only won one race at the very beginning of 2016, and for the longest time we're like, hello, guys, are you still alive over there?
Well,
and they won a couple races late in 2016, then went on a slump again for most of 2017, and then, as you mentioned earlier, came back strong with 6 wins in 2008. Actually, 7 wins in 2018 between 4 different drivers. So they're back on the upswing now, and I'm going to be particularly interested going forward to see how they react. And we have to go to break, and we haven't even talked about Xfinity or Cup, so we'll save that for later.
Exactly, we'll get to that. But right around the turn, we have our first guest, Derek Griffith, going to join us right after this. You're listening to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport. Be right back.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that help me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up. You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math or science person. No excuses, no problem. It's not rocket science. It's my computer career. Helping people start an IT career is their thing. If you don't absolutely love what you do, go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an information technology professional in as little as 4 months. Attend classes on campus or live online just 2 or 3 times a week to get what you'll need to start your new career. More than just a school, My Computer Career helps you get into the industry by working with hundreds of employers that hire their students. My Computer Career is nationally accredited. Financial aid is available for those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Classes start soon, so go take the career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay. Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now. Totally.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouSpeak.com.
Hi, I'm Cody Connor, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web, and you should, by golly, at HMSMotorsport.com if you need driver safety gear. That is definitely the place to go. They got radios. They got all kinds of stuff. So look them up at HMSMotorsport.com. We are thankful to have them as part of our family here at Race Chaser Media. And another part of our family, at least for tonight at Race Chaser Media, is Derek Griffith. Derek going to join us for the very first time on the Stock Car Show. And we are excited to have Derek aboard. Derek's one of the young up-and-coming racers out of the New England area, runs in what they call a pro stock up there. Down here, we can't have the same name, so we have to call it a super late model. Not really sure why. Guess just to confuse people. But anyway, Derek, welcome to the program. We're happy to have you.
Awesome. Thanks. Pleasure to be here.
Well, talk a little bit about your background, first of all. For those who aren't familiar with you, you told me the other day you didn't start racing until you were 12?
Yeah, yep. It's funny. A lot of these young kids nowadays, and they grew up running karts their whole life, and they started at a real young age. But I started. My father ran, kind of junkers at Hudson Speedway, like enduro cars and stuff. And I think my first time on the racetrack, I was 8 months old, and there's a picture of me in the grandstands, 8 months old. So
wow.
I've been going there for. As long as I can remember, watching him run, they had like some figure 8 races and some enduro races and stuff. And, I became the age where they allow what they call the Thunder Light division, which is, the kids division, and their class rules were, 4-cylinder. It's got to, be safe. You got to have a lot of safety equipment and stuff. And me and my dad went out and bought a Volkswagen Golf for $700 and went out, and we had a blast that first season. I won my first ever race, my first ever heat race and first ever feature in the day, like my first ever time strapping into a race car.
Wow.
And we had, from there, my dad's like, I knew I was screwed. I was going to be doing this for a long time if he did that good, his first time out. So I never would have thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now.
That's pretty amazing. And of course, for those who are listening to or watching the show, the racing in New England is just incredible. I mean, I grew up in, central New York, and back in the day, of course, it was all about supers and modifieds, but you guys also had the pro stocks up there, even back then. And, there's kind of, it's funny, different parts of New England. You go over here and it's pro stock country. You go over there, it's modified country. And of course, back in the day, there was a little piece of it that was super modified country as well. And, but the pro stocks up there are one of the top divisions, and the legends that have come out of that, for you to be now racing in that division, what is it like for you just on a weekly basis or a regular basis racing up there, let alone coming down here and taking on the best in Southern super late model racing?
It's awesome, like I said, I was just a little 12-year-old kid not that long ago. I say that not long ago, but 10 years ago, and I never would have thought we'd be to this point. And, racing with guys like Mike Rowe, who's inducted in the Maine Racing Hall of Fame, and, these guys that we run with, it's really impressive. Johnny Clark's won 6 past North championships.
Yeah.
And, Ben Rowe has started every single pass race. Since day one. So, it's pretty impressive to be, running and sometimes beating these guys that have done it since before I could even, I was even thought about, really.
I didn't realize that.
Pretty impressive. And, like you said, even up here, the amount of racing divisions up here is pretty impressive. You have your kind of like niche, the super modified country, like Star Classic and Oswego and all that stuff. And then, then you go down south, there's all these modified open wheel cars that are like the Tour type mods. And, up here, it seems like the super late model division has kind of been the top tier for like the Maine, New Hampshire, and Seekonk region and all that. And it's awesome to go down south and run good with the the Southern boys, the good old boys as they call them.
Yeah.
So Derek, I want to back up for a minute before we talk about the Easter Bunny 150 from over the weekend, because last year you mentioned earlier talking about coming up through the ranks, and it's really been a rapid ascension the last couple of years. You won the Granite State title in 2015, I think it was, and then last year took the huge step and beat out Ray Christian and Ben Rowe for the past national championship for the first time. How big a moment was that for you to finally stand on that stage against, as you called them, some of the best and say, hey, we're here now, at 22, mind you?
It was awesome. It's funny. We were kind of a nobody until I've been with the same guys since. So it's kind of you said it was a rapid thing. So I went from a Volkswagen to a 4-cylinder Mustang to an Outlaw car, which is an 8-inch treaded tire car, almost like a sportsman. And then from there, I went right to a pro stock. So mind you, I was 15, 16 years old, and actually my first time driving when I was 14, and I've been with the same people that I've been doing it since then, to now. And like I said, we were kind of a nobody till I got my first Granite State win in 2015, and we won 4 races that year with them as a touring division. And from there, we kind of just had a killer year. We moved up to Pass and had couple wins then, a couple wins in the 17 season, and a few wins in the 18 season with Pass. And we kind of consider them a little bit of a tier up from Granite State, and it just every year we just seem to get a little bit better and a little bit better. So hopefully, same thing, a recurring factor this year. Hopefully we just get a little bit better. I've already been, I've won at New Smyrna this year, which was I've been going down there for 6 years, and it's been just the toughest track for me. So I think we started off the year on the right foot.
Did you go into last year expecting the past championship, or was that one of those that as it started getting closer and it looked like this was going to be a possibility, it's one of those, holy crap, we might actually be able to do this sort of moments?
That's exactly what it was. We went out and we went to Dillon, and mind you, my first time at Dillon, I started on the outside pole and got put a lap down by lap 100 and 150 lap race, and we were just god awful. And we came back the next year with some changes that we made to the car. I mean, this is the first year I've had like a real brand new car that we're going to be running all over the place. I mean, it's funny. I nicknamed the last year's car Old Faithful. We've had the thing for, it's probably run well over 100 races, and say it was a 2006 or 7 chassis that just went. I just had good luck with it. We captured a lot of wins and top 3s with it, and last year it kind of just fell into our lap. We won 2 of the 4 national races and finished second in the 3rd one, and then the 4th one was a 250, and we ran into some bad luck at the 250, but part of the deal there.
I mean, it's really amazing to look at your name being, up there. And when I think about the fact that I just saw an announcement, I think either yesterday or today, that Tom Rosati is coming out of retirement to run Granite State this year. Tom and his brother John were fixtures in the pro stocks for years, back when I was much younger. So it's amazing to see some of the veterans like Tom still going, and here you are, 22, and last year's past champion. What lies ahead for you? I mean, obviously you're still in the pro stock division. Do you have any designs for going further, or are you content just to kind of stay closer to home and run in New England and just rack up late model or pro stock wins? Because boy, we need young drivers like yourself to hang around a while. But on the other hand, obviously there's always that appeal to make the step up and try to chase the big bucks in the National Series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone always has their dream of, being a Ryan Preece and, making it to that next step and, the elite, really, of racing. We are very happy with what we do. I love racing, as much as we race, and all the really diverse tracks. I mean, going from a place, we ran Richmond Motor Speedway to Hickory Motor Speedway, like 2 very, very different places. And then now this weekend we're going to be running Oxford, which is like even crazier than both those places. So, I'm very, very happy, and we've had a lot of offers to drive, stuff with, of course, with the funding, but that's just something that we unfortunately don't really have a lot of. I have a lot of really, really great sponsors that have been with me for a very long time that just enjoy seeing me race, and that's the whole reason why I can do what I do. And I got a hardworking dad, and I work as much as I can. I'm at the race car shop right now. We just picked up dinner, actually.
Okay.
We got it all tore apart and stuff, so I'm out with my truck doing this. But that desire is always there. But like I said, and I don't have a whole lot of hopes to make it. But like I said, we're super happy with what we do. If I could just knock off a few big wins in a lot of these high tier races, then I'd be able to be pretty happy with my name. The books as some sort of winner, like a 250 style race or a Derby style race, anything like that.
Well, if I were in your position racing up there at those tracks in New England, I think I'd be happy too. We're going to ask you to hold on, if you will. We'll give you a couple minutes to grab a couple bites of dinner while we step aside and take a break. When we come back, more with Derek Griffith, Trey Jarrell coming up shortly as well, and more NASCAR talk on the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport. We'll be right back.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper cars, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Jeff Gordon. You don't have to be a NASCAR driver to be someone's hero. You can be a hero when you volunteer to become a marrow or blood stem cell donor for someone that has a life-threatening blood disease. The National Marrow Donor Program needs donors like you so that more people can receive transplants. You could save a life and become a hero. Learn more at www.marrow.org or by calling 1-800-MARROW2.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
Hi, I'm Chase Cabre, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. The Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. I am Tom Baker. Jacob Seelman is sitting next to me in the studio here in Mooresville, North Carolina. Behind the glass in the tech shed, so to speak, are Randy Miller and Chris Murdoch, and we are talking on the Strutmasters via the Strutmasters.com hotline to Derek Griffith from New Hampshire, who is one of the up-and-coming pro stock racers from New England, who brings his pro stock down here, magically turns it into a super late model, and runs it with the Pass Series down here, because that's what we call them, super late models in the South.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead,
Eric.
Yeah.
So in thinking about this and looking at the way the season started for you, Derek, I know it's only 1 point, but you're still leading the Pass North standings after the opening race of the season. So I'm going to pose a hypothetical here. Say we get down the road to the end of the season, which, in your eyes, which one carries more weight? The national title that you won last year, or if you would be able to convert a Pass North championship this year, knowing, as you referenced, some of the legends that have been running Pass North for years and years?
I believe, my personal standpoint, that the North is a tougher deal right now. The diversity in the tracks and the amount of actual people who run the full season is a little bit tougher than the national deal. Some races got called off last year, which almost kind of really fell in my favor. I mean, because we did so well at the beginning. But the whole North deal is just so tough. I mean, you got races from Spud Speedway in Caribou, Maine, which is 7 hours north of me, and it's only one state, so it's it's crazy. Yeah, so from there to Seekonk, which is a place that we normally do very well at, but for some reason last year we had awful luck at. It's just then there's Oxford and Thunder Road, and there's all kinds of places that just the North is such a diverse. I wish it got a little bit more spotlight, because it seems like not a lot of people get to see what the Pass North, like how gritty the racing is. It's. I mean, you have, I think, only it was me, DJ, and one other person only won 3 races last year with Pass, like in the North. that's pretty impressive. I think there's over the last 4 years, I think there's only been a handful of people that have won 3 races in a season. So that's pretty impressive for someone, for a season of, racers that brings in sometimes 35 to 40 cars in just a regular Oxford show.
Right.
So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you've set yourself up nicely so far. You're leading the North after the opening race of the year, second right now in the national standings, a couple races in. I know there's a long way to go, but it seems like in the last year or so, everything's clicked right for you. And as we were talking about in the last segment, you've really kind of said, to all the guys who have been doing this for a lot longer than you, hey, I'm here now.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool to gain some respect from some of these guys that I've been watching race for a long time. And, when I started, had that, star effect to me. And it's cool to become friends with people like Mike and Ben Rowe and, all these guys who have won championship after championship and all that. So we've set ourselves up pretty good so far. What's going to be a telltale is this weekend at Oxford. It's for some reason, we can run good everywhere we go besides Oxford and Beech Ridge. So Beech Ridge got pulled off the pass schedule for the year due to some complications with them. But Oxford has, I think, 6 races on for the year.
Wow!
So I really got to get my my game together up there at Oxford. It's just that place. I just struggle there so much. I'm hoping that the Fury car it's going to be its first time there this weekend. So I'm really hoping that. It is the thing the key that we needed to get us going up there.
You referenced it takes a lot of good people and supporters, and you said you've had a lot of sponsors that have stuck with you over the course of your career. Here's a shot to shout out to everybody that makes it possible for Derek Griffith to get to the racetrack each time out.
So actually, as we're sitting here, I'm at Louis Michelidis' shop, LCM Racing. He's been working with us since day one. He helped me rebuild my 4-cylinder Mustang motor when I blew it up. And after that, he's like, hey, let's build an Outlaw. So we built an Outlaw together. And then he's like, hey, do you want to drive my Pro Stock? And we're like, oh, yeah, let's do that. So I drove for him for a long time, and I'm still driving. It's a team effort. Him and his sister is my spotter and has been my only spotter through the years, too. I've never run a mirror in my life, and I've only had her as a spotter. So pretty cool to have that sort of relationship with a crew, their family.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty neat little fact. But then I got my friend Jeremy. He helps out as much as he can. He just became a plumber, so we don't see him as much as he used to. But he's been helping me out. Good friend for a long time. And then I got my sponsors like Tingsboro Motors, my father's car dealership, Epi Proventure Insurance. This is a family that are like the most die-hard race fans that I've probably ever seen. They'll go to every race they possibly can. It's a father, a wife, and 2 kids, a daughter and a son. And they come down to the race car shop, and the kids, bolting on wheels and stuff. It's cool to have that sort of relationship with a sponsor. And then we have Deputat Excavations, Chuck Taylor Racing, my own business, Northeast Auto Imports. The amount of help that I've received over the years has just been incredible. Jericho. There's been a lot of actual companies that have worked with us too, and also this year I'm part of the Kiwiki Driver Development Program again for the second time. So that's huge. That really makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Okay, so where can our fans who watch and listen to this show, where can they find you on social media and such if they want to keep up with your career?
Facebook is the best way. If you head to Derek Griffith Motorsports on Facebook, we're constantly updating with videos, pictures, schedule updates, sponsor thank yous, and all kinds of stuff. We also have like giveaways that we do and with like T-shirts and apparel and all that stuff. And then I also have www.derekgriffith.com, which is another way to look up some previous stats and finishes and stuff like that. And I'm also on Twitter, at Derek Griffith 12. And then my personal Facebook is always open too. I'm always, willing to talk to anyone. So, that's pretty much it.
Well, we've enjoyed talking with you, and we got John Greaves in our chat. Derek is one hell of a shoe. I would agree with that. And Tyler Kernan from up in New England representing tonight as well. Happy to have you on the show, Derek, and look forward to catching up with you again. Go win a race, and we'll bring you back.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. My pleasure to be on the show, and hopefully I'll be getting this call again soon.
Sounds good. That's Derek Griffith, and off he goes as we continue with our talk about the race at Hickory. We've got just a couple minutes left in this segment. That race definitely one for the ages, and Derek was having a decent run, just starting to wind it up. He was kind of cruise control for a little while, just saving the equipment, and then started to gear it up and make his run to the front and got wrecked.
Yeah.
It was kind of a shame to see that. There were
Not cool.
No, not cool, but certainly did put on a good show. And Derek's a really, really humble young man, and you don't see a lot of that. Well, you don't see as much of that in the sport as I think you used to. And, here's a driver who's content just to be racing in New England and having a good time doing it. And, we need the local younger drivers to stay around to become veterans at those tracks.
Right.
And, boy, if I had the chance to race at some of those legendary tracks, you'd have to pry me away with a crowbar. It better be a really good NASCAR offer to get me to stop doing that. With that, we're going to step aside here. We've got Trey Jarrell actually coming up in the next segment, and Trey was another driver who had an outstanding run for a very small team in that race the other day at Hickory. We're going to talk to him about that and what he's got going on for the season with Reedy Racing as we come back around the turn. You are listening to the Stock Car Show, presented by our good friends at HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web at HMSMotorsport.com. Stick around.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
For the people in our military, it's a time of sacrifice and duty. That's why all 4 military aid societies have joined together to form the Armed Forces Relief Trust to help military families cope with financial and medical emergencies at home. With so many serving overseas, the need is greater than ever. You can learn more and donate at www.afrtrust.org. A message from the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe.
As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Hi, I'm Brandon McReynolds, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
You're laughing.
Well, welcome back to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport. And yes, Brandon McReynolds bringing us back from break. And
Hey, I have news real quick.
You do?
Yes, about Brandon, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes. So through the grapevine, I have heard that he is beyond running the ARCA race Friday at Talladega with KBR Development.
Right.
That Visconti Motorsports has made the decision to bring the car to South Boston for the twin races, since Brandon is third in points and really close. We were waiting to see if that was actually going to happen, and it appears as though it is going to happen.
Well, that's good news. It's good to see Brandon get that shot. We got to see and hear a lot of Brandon. Chris and I did over the weekend. Brandon was spotting for one of the pass racers. And,
well, that's fun.
Yeah, and was regaling us in the media tower, which became kind of the spotters tower during the rain delays. Was regaling us with story after story after story, and no, we can't tell any of them on the air. But they were funny, and Brandon's an entertaining kid. We got another entertaining kid on the show with us right now via the strutmasters.com hotline. That would be Trey Jarrell. And Trey made his return to the Super Late Model Wars behind the wheel of the Reedy Racing number 21 over the weekend at Hickory. And all he did was drive the thing from 30th to 8th in the Easter Bunny 150. Trey, welcome back to the show. It has been a long time since we've had you on our air.
Too long.
And yes, too long. I agree. Happy to have you back. And what a drive for you on Saturday. It was exactly the kind of a drive that I have come to expect from Trey Jarrell. Keep the nose clean, or do your best to anyway, and just, get the best finish you can and try to put yourself in position at the end. You did that. Solid run, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really a great night for us. And to be honest, I really didn't know what we had for qualifying there. I was hopeful that we would qualify inside the top 15 or so and have a good starting spot, but we couldn't seem to get a lot of heat in the tires with there. Might be the shock package. We're not really sure yet. It's the second time running that car, but knew that we had a great car for the race, and that, if we just kept our nose clean, we'd be there at the end, and that's the way it happened for us.
30th to 8th, dude, is impressive by itself, but at Hickory, in a stacked field like the Easter Bunny, I mean, I'm kind of sitting here shaking my head going, okay, I mean, I know he does things like this, but where did that come from?
Well, first of all, I'm just going to be honest. I think that might have been the most competitive group of cars that I've ever raced against. Just looking at the intro, I never looked at it going into the race. Yeah, I didn't really want to look at it. I knew there were going to be good cars there, and I was I was like, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable just not knowing who I'm racing against here. But I think part of it was with the rain coming. A lot of people were pushing hard the first half of the race, and that just wasn't our game plan. We just laid back, honestly, and kind of watched the wrecks happen for the first half of the race, and just saved our tires. And so when it did get around to about lap 100, we were sitting just outside the top 10, I think, and still had plenty of tire left. And we got some of those long runs there. We were just able to pick them off one by one, and got in behind Justin Kreider, and he was doing a really great job of opening up holes for me. And we were pretty.
Yeah, he was actually. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking earlier about how Talladega may be a two-car tandem again this Sunday in the Cup race because of the new tapered spacer package. And, now that you mention that, it kind of occurs to me that maybe you and Justin should go enter the thing, because as good as you work together, you probably have a shot to win it.
Yeah, well, I'd never raced against him, but he seemed like a great driver to me, so I'd be happy to.
He knows the track really well at Hickory, and definitely is a shoe. But as you were coming up through there, Trey, it was almost like, again, like you said, you really needed the long runs, and it almost got to the point where it looked to me like the more the race went on, the more comfortable you got in the car, and the harder you started racing. And boy, at the end of the race, I really felt like if you'd had one more long run in you, you might have been able to get at least into the back half of the top 5.
Yeah, I really think so. Honestly, I think that's one of the only times I've ever wanted to have a 200-lap race instead of a 150-lap one.
Yeah.
Because we really weren't winded at all. I mean, the car just kept going, and that was really our experience. We went and tested the week before, too. We tested with like 150-lap tires, and it seemed like when we were on new tires or on fresh tires, we really didn't go that much faster. And I don't know what it is yet. We've still got a little bit of homework to do to figure out how to get that short run speed out. But yeah, a 30-lap run, once we got plenty of heat in the tires, the balance of the car would just get better and better and better. And we were just a little too tight on the short runs, and we got stuck on the bottom there in a couple of those restarts. And that just wasn't the lane to be in on the restarts all night for anyone, I don't think.
No.
But still a great run, though, there at the end.
You said all day going into the race, Trey, that this car probably wasn't going to qualify worth very much, but it was going to race really well. What did you know even before the day really got started that it was going to work out like it did?
As young as I am, I think I can say I've got some experience now. I've been in a late model in some form since I was 15, and I'm 22 and kind of know the balance that I want in the car. And we've had some great runs there in the past with our other car, 12 car that we've had. And so I was just looking for the right feel, and once we found it with the balance, I was like, well, I know the timesheet doesn't necessarily say that we're good, but if this thing comes down to a long run, I really feel like we're going to have a better handling car than a lot of these guys, and it worked out that way.
It's sort of weird because Hickory's a track where I want to crate, I don't want to crate, I want to crate, I don't want to crate. Talk a little bit about the crate motor versus the built motor there, because it's sort of it's some days you really wish you had a crate, and some days not so much, it seems like.
Yeah, well, I'm always so impressed with the guys from up north that come down with crate motors and really are tough to beat on the long runs. Their cars are always so stable. So we've ran there with a crate motor before. I have to say it wasn't much fun. It can really help with saving your tires, but we came back with our Ford spec motor this time, the McGonigal motor, and actually opened it up a little bit, and it just gave me the ability to save the tires coming off the corner, and if I needed to, I could drag race down the stretch. But I'd rather have that motor if you have a good handling car, and if you have a steady right foot. But the crate motors on the right night can be really tough to beat.
Trey, for you, I would argue perhaps that this was one of your more impressive, if not maybe your most impressive performance to date at Hickory. Do you feel like the past experience that you've had has helped you now in a situation like you had on Saturday, having to come through traffic and knowing, how to pace yourself?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think a lot of it for me has just been learning not to outpace the equipment. There's really no need to charge a corner and slide a tire or to throttle up down the straightaway at the beginning of the race, and even if you're racing somebody, just to ride and kind of wait for the race to play its way out. And another big help was I had James Edwards spotting for me.
Yes.
I've raced Legends cars some with James, and he just did a phenomenal job of really keeping me in the know what was going on around me, what pace I needed to run, giving me lap times of the guys behind me, what I was running, pace of the leaders. So at times I felt more like James was driving the car than I was, and yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have put together nearly as solid of a race if it hadn't been for him. And that was something that I've had good spotters in the past, but maybe not that much information.
Mm-hmm.
So no, this something that I needed.
Well, he knows what he's doing, and he gets way less respect, I think, and recognition than he deserves. And that brings me to just the team that you have, because you're not the most well-funded team, but, boy, you got some knowledge. You had some knowledge in your pit area the other night.
Yeah, we have Cleet Kaywood that helped us out. Cleet's an engineer. He's also our sponsor. He's got K-Tech Abrasive Blast Cleaning out of South Carolina. We got Mark Reedy. Mark's a veteran racer. He's my crew chief, owns the car. He's been racing super late models for 20 years and have all of his experience to lean on, just a lot of wisdom there too, and knowing how to race, and as well as just other guys that are willing to come and help out. And really, we don't have the budgets, like you said, of these other big teams, but we do have to be smart about what we do. And so we think strategically about our races, maybe more so than other teams. And that kind of showed in the way that we ran that race. Just making sure that we picked the right lines, that we saved tires, that we made adjustments that were going to be in favor of the long runs. And that's how we have to go every time we come to the racetrack. And we're strategic about, what parts we buy for the car too. And so all of it has to come down to really working within our budget. But I think that makes it more fun almost sometimes, because we are the underdogs, and everybody likes an underdog.
And it's funny because you went exactly where I was hoping you would go, and wanted to talk a little bit about the Reedy Racing story, because you guys aren't the KBM or the Ben Rowe or any of the bigger, more well-known named teams in pass racing or even in super late model racing down here, but you and Mark got together, clicked, and y'all don't race all the time, but as you referenced, you're strategic about it, and when you guys come to the racetrack, you come to perform.
Yeah, we've never wanted to show up and not have a chance at contending. That's no fun.
No.
Someone was asking me at the racetrack Saturday night if I had fun. I'm like, well, we ran well, so yeah, I had fun. And that's just how it is. We come to compete, and we know that we have a tenth of the budget of a lot of teams there. But when you're smart about how you do that, you can have good results. And really, our car is a little older than everybody else's, or maybe not everybody, but most everybody. But it's been updated to modern specs, and some things might be a little different in here and that. And we're not Bubba Pollard, but. You can compete with older equipment if you're smart about how you do it. So I think that gives hope to the lower budget racers out there.
What year is that chassis, Trey?
2010. So y'all know who Chris Gabehart is?
Oh, yes.
Denny Hamlin knows him too.
Yeah, so the car that we've got apparently set the track record at Winchester way back in there somewhere, 2009, 2010. And we changed the shocks and updated a few other things, but the chassis is still original as it was, never been wrecked.
That's awesome.
That's impressive.
Chris knows his stuff,
He
that's
does,
for sure.
he does.
Trey, hang on just for a bit. We have to step aside. When we come back, we'll pick up with Trey Jarrell and go forward with the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. Stick around.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up. You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math and science person. No problem and no excuses, because it's not rocket science. It's my computer career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Tyler Dipple, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Hashtag dippling is what that signifies. Welcome back to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety, and we are joined on the strutmasters.com hotline still by Trey Jarrell, who finished 8th in the mycomputercareer.edu Easter Bunny 150 at Hickory Motor Speedway over the weekend. Trey, we wanted to just keep you over because we wanted to find out where next can we expect to see you and Reedy Racing competing in this racing season. I know you're on a limited schedule and you're still finishing up a class or two at Liberty and going to be graduating soon and working in the campus outreach youth ministry there. And so talk a little bit about what that means for you for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, it kind of comes down to where the budget plays out for us. But right now, we're looking at going to Motor Mile with the Cars Tour. So that'd be my first Cars Tour start. I'm excited about that. Awesome. I think that's May 18th. Got a lot of laps there from my late model stock days with Sellers Racing, and I always really loved the track. I think it's going to suit our car well. It's more of a speedway car. Actually not particularly suited for Hickory. So more of a point A to point B racetrack too. I think that's going to play well with our motor combination and our shock package.
Well, that's interesting. So Motor Mile and then maybe South Boston?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure when the South Boston race is. Is it in November, or you guys know?
Yeah,
I think it is November. One of the first couple weeks of November, I believe.
Yep.
So that should be a lot of fun. So just a couple of more big shows, unless maybe some sponsorship comes your way to run more then.
Exactly. Yeah, and we might try to squeeze in another Hickory race as well, but that's pretty much what the schedule is looking like for now. So it won't be much, but we'll make sure that we show up with guns loaded for bear when we get to the track.
Well, that's the main thing. Okay, so talk about who helps you make all this happen, because you do have some sponsors and also some great people behind you.
Well, first and foremost, I have to thank my dad. Couldn't do it without him, and just been such a joy to race with him for these past, I don't know, probably 12 years now. But also Reedy Racing, Mark, for all the hard work he's put into it, and K-Tech Abrasive Blast Cleaning. They helped us get to the racetrack at Hickory. We couldn't have performed without them. Covered our tire budget, so that was amazing, and we hope to keep them on for the rest of the year.
You actually got to really race with your dad or race against your dad at Hickory a little while ago in a Legends race. That must have been fun.
That was pretty neat. I think he's been wanting to do it for a long time. hoping to coax him back out there again soon here. I know James Edwards been working on him for a while, so he's got this crazy cross-country motorcycle trip planned. And if he survives that, we'll get him back in the Legends car again.
I don't think you'll have to coax him because he was talking to me about it the other day. He's all excited to jump back in. And, if we can just keep him upright on the bike over the next couple of months or so whenever that trip comes up, I'm sure he'll be happy to get back in the car again. So that's pretty cool that you guys got to do that. I'm sure that was a really special father-son moment for you.
It certainly was, and gotta say, I think I've lapped my father now for the first time as well. So that was a fun moment for me.
Wow. Okay. Well, and I know that you're looking forward to the racing that you're going to do the rest of the year, but you've also got some really cool stuff, meaningful stuff going on in your life outside of the track. Can you give us just a little bit of a glimpse on what you're doing at Liberty?
Yeah, I work for a college ministry called Campus Outreach, you mentioned. And really our job, what we endeavor to do is to take the gospel to the college campus. And it's something that transforms lives, brings people literally from death to life in Christ, and something I'm extremely passionate about. I became a Christian while I was in college. And it's been such a privilege to first be involved in this ministry as a student, and then to be asked to come on the staff and to do that. And we operate on 5 different campuses here in the Lynchburg region, so that's Virginia Tech, Radford, Lynchburg College, and Liberty, and I'm currently full-time at Liberty.
Wow. Well, that's certainly amazing work that you're doing, and we're really proud of you and really look forward to seeing what you can do on the racetrack going forward, Trey. So look forward to catching up with you again as it gets closer to your Cars Tour debut, perhaps, and we'll talk a little bit about Motor Mile. With that, we thank Trey Jarrell for being on with us tonight, and we'll let him get back to doing his homework because that's what we interrupted when we brought him on the radio show, and hopefully we'll be able to talk with him again down the road before Motor Mile.
Yeah.
So as we kind of reset a little bit here and go forward. What's that?
I said pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes. Yeah, we'll get back. We haven't had a chance to get into either Xfinity or we did talk a little bit about ARCA for Talladega, but not in any depth. Let's hit the Xfinity series because Xfinity at Talladega is always kind of again, like the Cup race, it's, throw all the car numbers up in the air and whichever one comes back down first, you can pick them to win and you probably will have a good chance. But it always gives, I feel like, some different drivers a chance to come to the front. And if I remember correctly what I read over the weekend, we're going to see an interesting reunion because I think that Landon Castle is back behind the wheel of the JD Motorsports number 4.
Indeed.
Because Ross Chastain is over driving the number 10.
Yes,
right?
for
colleague racing. So, and the reason I bring Landon up is because Landon is actually a really strong super speedway racer, and it's one of those things where if they can give him enough race car and get him in the right position, Landon can have a nice finish for that JD Motorsports team, and we know that Ross has been competitive for at least the back end of the top 5 to top 10 all year long with a 4 car.
I was going to say, no matter what car he's been in, he's been competitive.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is, to me, this race is very important for Ross Chastain in the Kaulig car because as it sits right now, he is the first man outside of the playoff picture in 13th, primarily due to the incredible start to the season that Ryan Sieg has had.
There's another one.
I don't think anybody expected Ryan to be 9th in points with the kind of start to the year that he's had. I think he's 4th in average finish in the NASCAR Xfinity Series between all the full-time drivers right now. It's just been amazing to watch what Ryan's done, but I feel like this is a critical race for Ross. It's his second of 3 starts in the Kaulig 10 car this year, and he needs stage points like he got at Daytona. He needs to have a shot at winning the race. He needs to make up ground on the guys ahead of him in the championship right now. This race, this car, this opportunity at Talladega is his shot to do that.
Who do we have moonlighting from the Cup Series this weekend? Do we know?
Considering it's a Dash for Cash race,
okay,
nobody.
so I didn't realize that. Okay, so
yeah,
this
remember,
is a dash,
this is the third of 4 Dash for Cash races.
That's right.
So
We've only had 2.
Correct. Yeah. Talladega and
Good.
and
so
Dover.
This is going to come down to the regulars,
non-Cup drivers.
Yeah, that's great.
Jeffrey Earnhardt will be back in the 18 car this
well,
weekend
and
at
see,
Talladega.
there's a driver right there that everybody better pay attention to this weekend, because I think Jeffrey could win this race. And, boy, you want to talk about a crowd exploding. You know, I think part of Jeffrey's fan base comes from the fact his last name's Earnhardt, but I just think I think there's another part of Jeffrey's fan base that has less to do with his last name than it does with the fact that he's just one of these unique characters, and he's kind of a throwback in a way, I think.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, so I really think that Jeffrey could certainly win this race.
I'm actually a little disappointed the official entry lists are not posted yet.
We've had a couple of races this year where that's been the case. I don't know what's going on there, but John Greaves in our chat, hoping that Ryan Preece will get Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series. And
he's going to need some help.
Yeah, I think Ryan's not had the best start to the year.
No, I mean, it was great at Daytona, and then I think when they had that issue go wrong at Atlanta after he was having such a strong run, I feel like that kind of derailed the momentum train very quickly, and they just have not quite been able to get back to where they were in those first couple races.
With that being said, I do think that if it is true that this turns out to be a tandem race and he and Chris Buescher can find each other, who knows?
Yes.
I mean, this is, again, Talladega is a race in any series that's pretty much, anybody could possibly win. And you've got some guys in each division that you need to factor in because it's Talladega that ordinarily you probably wouldn't put as much stock in, so to speak. I don't think this is a race, at least not for me, where, like most of the races this year, I'm saying, well, until somebody can beat Kyle Busch. Talladega, for me, doesn't feel like that at all. It's Talladega.
Right.
And if it becomes a 2-car tandem, my goodness, I mean, that could throw everything into a bit of a
shocking
blender.
state of flux, as I like to call it.
Yeah, I mean, it could get real interesting real fast if that's what it turns into. But we'll have to see what happens here. We've got one segment left. We're going to go around the table. We're going to make some picks and have some fun in the lightning round. Don't go anywhere. More of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport right after this. HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing: making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at HMSMotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Everyone knows Strutmasters is the suspension experts for luxury vehicles, and now we offer motorcycle products. Introducing Easy Rider Complete Motorcycle Air Suspension, brought to you by Strutmasters.com. You can raise and lower your bike with the flip of a switch. Take those long rides with the ultimate comfort of Easy Rider air shocks. They're backed by Strutmasters, and you won't believe the low price. Check out Easy Rider motorcycle air suspension at strutmasters.com.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
I'm Kaz Gralla, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show. Final segment for the evening. It is our lightning round. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Randy Miller, and Chris Murdoch all hanging in for the next 15 minutes or so from the Race Chaser Studios in Mooresville, North Carolina. And Jacob, you just brought up a point before we get into our debate here. Little bit of a nugget of news regarding Gateway Motorsports Park that's come out.
It's no longer Gateway Motorsports Park. And
well, it
goes,
is. It's just called something different.
Yes. Well, exactly. It's no longer called Gateway Motorsports Park. It is now, and don't ask me to say this 5 times fast because I'll never be able to do it, Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. Like I said, try to say it 5 times fast. I promise you, you can't.
WWT Reg.
Oh.
If it's an acronym. Worldwide Technologies Raceway at Gateway.
It took me a minute to figure out where you were going with that.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be now. But you know what? We appreciate Worldwide Technologies doing that because you always want to have more sponsors in the game, and they obviously were willing to step up and take naming rights. And I'm going to tell you, when we come to 2021, if I had my way, there would be a triple header
at Gateway. Absolutely.
In 2021. If I had my way, triple header at Gateway in 2021.
Hang on a minute. I have to laugh because I just turned my head and looked in the chat. Hey, Roger Jarrell, for a second, you're late.
Well, Roger's been known to be late to his own party a couple of times.
I will say, speaking on the sponsorship front,
yeah.
I may be a little biased here, but technology sponsors are always the best sponsors to have. Could you imagine the overhaul on that racetrack? I mean, look what
they're already working on.
Look what ISM has done for ISC tracks. They have completely overhauled that technology and how they use it. So technology sponsors are always good for racing.
Well, agreed. And I think this one's going to be great for Gateway. And so, Roger Jarrell, we're happy to have you in the chat. We just had a great interview with your son, and you can go back and watch it later.
Yeah.
With that, we continue.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Please hang around for the lightning round. No, I saw that, too. That was funny. As we go into our lightning round here, okay, so we're going to bring Randy Miller in because Randy's been very quiet this evening, and we want to hear Randy talk a little bit. So
wait, we do?
Yeah, we do. We're going to start with, obviously, some picks, and we're going to talk about Roger Jarrell in our chat. What the hell is taking advantage of sunshine and playing golf? Well, that's what you get. See, your priorities are mixed up. You listen to the show and watch the show because your kid's on it. Then you go play golf. That's what you do. You know, you need to do that midnight golf thing. Okay, wow. Randy, Cup race at Talladega this weekend. I'm not going to pick team. We're not going to do the team thing. who is going to be the first car across the finish line under the checkered flag.
Okay, so we're assuming that we're not going to go with the tandem draft?
No, we're not doing two winners here.
Okay, so if the tandem draft does not exist, I'm taking Matt DiBenedetto because I feel like he did a great job at Daytona.
Yes, please.
And I would love to see him win Talladega. So
I think we can all agree that would be
picking
fun.
DiBurrito.
Matt also had the social media nugget winner of the week.
Uh-oh, I missed it.
And it's, oh, gosh. Actually, I guess it was the weekend. His comment, if you never want to have personal space ever again, get a dog.
Okay.
No, seriously. He showed the picture of the dog. It was almost sitting on his chest.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Yeah.
So the dog was the issue.
The dog.
I got you. Okay.
Well, I think he was loving the dog. He just, made the point. Get a dog. You'll never have personal space again.
I feel like he loves Brian more than he loves Taylor.
Wow.
Because you see more pictures of him and the dog than you do of him and Taylor. I'm just saying.
Well,
that's a good friend of mine.
Dog is a man's best friend,
He knows I'm
right?
kidding.
There was also the tweet from last week where he had where he had date night with AJ Allmendinger, and oh, by the way, the girls tagged along too.
Oh boy.
You don't follow him on Twitter. You're missing a lot.
Yeah, you're missing a lot.
Seriously. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, and of course our chat, Judd Greaves. 47, Ryan Preece. Well, you know what? That would be a very popular win as well. I think either Matt or Ryan would probably knock the house down if they won.
Yeah, no, and he had a great finish in the Daytona 500 too, so we know the boy can draft. Hey, so let's see. He said DiBurrito. Were we picking all three races or just the Cup race?
Just the Cup for the moment.
Okay.
I'm going to let Murdoch
Chris.
jump in because he wants to pick Joey Logano.
And if you are watching video, yes, Randy and I are part of the matching T-shirt club today. You're gonna want this ally in your corner during Talladega if you get where I'm going.
No,
Jimmy
you're not.
Johnson.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, he did just knock the lights out at the Boston Marathon.
3 hours, 7 minutes, 9 seconds.
Hey,
9
you know
minutes,
what?
7 seconds.
I'm not going to say Jimmy
permutations.
Johnson's not going to happen at Talladega because, again, I think, 30
I
of
will
the 40
not
cars
believe it until he actually sits in victory lane.
Well,
I know
it's
won
gonna
the
happen
Clash.
eventually.
I know he won the Clash, but he had to wreck the whole field to do it.
Well, that's
sorry, not sorry.
That's not
it's
wrong,
the truth.
But okay, so who are you picking then?
Who is I picking?
Yes, that's what I said. Who are you picking?
I is picking the horse that has done everything at super speedways lately, and just because there aren't plates now and it's to a tapered spacer, he's still going to be the king of Talladega. Brad Keselowski wins on Sunday.
Okay, that's not
I
really...
don't care what package you throw at the Deuce is still the king of the draft.
Brad Souza in our chat, Almirola is due for a checkered flag.
He did win the last time they were at Dega.
I agree 100%. However...
You're not going to pick him.
I'm not going to pick him. I'm actually going to pick his teammate.
Which one?
I am going to pick the teammate who is in his first year driving for the team.
That has the best scheme ever.
Suarez is going to win his first race. Yeah, orange. Oh, does he really? I didn't know that.
Yes, hold on. I'll pull it up.
Okay, so Suarez, I'm picking Suarez to win. I just, look, you can, like I said, just pick him out of a hat. And, it would be a great start. Oh, that's a sharp-looking car. 41's a sharp
I love it.
car.
Hey, the 4 with the Bush plaid scheme is too.
Yeah, well, I love those Bush commercials anyways. They crack me up. I think Stuart Haas is going to be very, very tough. I think this is one of those situations, though, where I could see a Jimmy Johnson or a William Byron or any of the Hendrick cars snapping out of it. Again, if it's going to be a tandem, if, as you say, it's going to be a tandem, it basically makes it whoever tandem's the best.
Hey, listen, I know we were just picking race winners a minute ago, but I would bet every dollar I got on this, by the way, on this factoid.
That's like $2, just for the record.
No, I actually have 10 this week.
Yeah, he's up to 10.
I'm up to 10.
Yeah.
I would
he
bet
sold pencils over the weekend.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But it's all seriousness. I would bet every dollar I got that a Hendrick car will sit on the pole for Sunday's Cup race.
See, I'm less bullish on
Single
that
car
than maybe winning.
qualifying, aerodynamics. And
Well,
Hendrick cars
but-
have won the pole at Daytona and Talladega lots of times
But
lately.
again, you keep throwing. But it's a new package. We don't know who's
ma-
gonna.
The motor package doesn't matter. Daytona and Talladega qualifying is all about aerodynamics, which Hendrick Motorsports has mastered better than anybody else lately.
Well, I'm not going to dispute that, but I think the Fords are going to be faster than you think. I think that the Toyotas would be the ones that I would be the least bullish on. But once we get into the race, to me, it's open season. I don't think it. You're still going to be. You're still going to race in a pack. Whether they're doing tandem, or they're doing the typical plate kind of racing. I don't think you're going to see a bunch of guys spread out. At least I hope not.
No.
I think you're going to see, groups of cars running together. I don't care what brand you are at that point.
No, I'm just talking about single car, one lap qualifying, Hendrick Motorsports at plate tracks, super speedways, other than last fall at Talladega. Hendrick Motorsports has been the king of super speedway single car qualifying for years now, and I do not expect that to change at all.
Well, if you're talking about super speedway qualifying, keep your eye on the Richard Childress cars, because Austin Dillon has also been good at super speedway qualifying in recent years.
He hasn't won a pole since the Daytona on a super speedway since I can't call them plate tracks anymore, and it's psyching me out, man. Anyway, Austin Dillon hasn't won a pole on a super speedway since the Daytona 500 in 2013.
Reprogram you over the
Yeah,
weekend.
no kidding.
He's still thinking about orange vanilla Coke.
Yeah, he's still looking at the 41 car. That's the problem. Okay,
I'm drinking Mountain Dew.
Xfinity
so
race,
the other
good
Hendrick
choice,
sponsor.
by the way. Xfinity race, Randy, who wins?
I'm going to pick Jeffrey Earnhardt because I think actually
Good
that
pick.
would be a really
I
cool
like
story.
that.
Good pick.
So I think if you want to be a really awesome story, so yeah, my pick is Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Good pick. Okay, Jacob, we'll let you go next.
I'll tell you what it's not going to be quite as heartfelt a story, but it'll be a story because for the third week in a row, a driver is going to win not only the race, but $100,000. And you know who's going to do it? The same guy whose car is carrying the sponsor of the race, Austin Cindric, wins in the Double Deuce.
Okay. Austin's a good choice as well.
He's got Money Lion. It's the Money Lion 300. Penske cars are always good in the draft at Talladega, and he's eligible for $100,000.
Okay, Chris Murdoch, step up to the plate. Give us a winner.
Ryan Sieg.
I love it.
Please.
See,
please.
There's your sexy pick right there. That's if Ryan Sieg could pull off a win at Talladega once again, it would bring the house down. That would be a great win.
I like how Chris drops the mic and then runs away. You see this on camera?
Back to the video.
He literally comes over here and says what he needs to say and then drops the mic and runs away.
John Creeves in our chat. Christopher Bell going out on the 2-inch limb there.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to, the junior motorsports cars for the most part have been pretty quiet for the most of the season, other than, of course, Daytona. So I'm going to pick a junior motorsports car to win, and I'm going to pick the 7 car, Lil Gator, to go to victory lane. But I'm going to tell you, watch out for Cole Custer, because I got a feeling about him too.
Well, if you're going to lean on Stuart Haas cars, the other guy who needs a win in that camp is kind of sort of good too. I mean,
he is. Yep.
He's been top, as old Kenny Schrader used to say, he's been top 10 on them to death lately.
Well, he hasn't. See, at these tracks, I mean, these super speedways. It's a situation where it's as much about position and opportunity at the end as it is being the fastest car. But something is just telling me that Cole Custer. I think Cole is a different driver this year than he's been in the past, and I really like him. But I'm picking Allgaier to win because I do think experience counts for something on these tracks. And, Justin Allgaier is a driver who has certainly gotten it done in the past and I think can get it done. Jacob, you got an ARCA winner?
Absolutely.
Which Venturini car do you pick to win?
Well,
we got a minute left.
You are correct about that. I'm a sucker for a good comeback story. Come on, you know how this script's set.
So you're picking Eckes.
Christian Eckes, absolutely.
Okay, I can't pick him now, so I'll pick Michael Self because, well, I need a 2-inch lim once in a while. Randy, you got one?
No, Jacob actually was going to take my pick, so I'm going to pick Christian Eckes because I could do
it.
I produced the show.
Right.
Again, the whole feel-good story, coming back from, being as sick as he was, that would be an awesome way to cap that off. So.
Yes, it really would be. By the way,
sure.
Tiny Nugget, Josh Williams is my dark horse pick for the Xfinity race this weekend, and he's got a new old primary sponsor in Starbright Incorporated this weekend. Their first time as a sponsor in the series. And with that, we need to get out of here. Thanks to HMS Motorsports, Strutmasters, and mycomputercareer.edu for what they do to make this show possible. For Tom Baker, Randy Miller, Chris Murdoch, I'm Jacob Seelman. Keep it off the wall. And if you're headed to a racetrack, we might just see you there. Have a safe racing weekend. Good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stay tuned to Performance Motorsports Network for more race talk. For the latest motorsports news, visit racechaseronline.com. The Stock Car Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week when the Stock Car Show returns on Thursday night at 7 Eastern. Until then, stay tuned for more great motorsports programming on the Performance Motorsports Network.